Good morning. Welcome to Science 4 for Quarter 2, Week 6, Module 13, Beneficial and Harmful Interactions Among Living Things. Learning competency for Module 13 is to describe some types of beneficial and harmful interactions among living things. Module 13 is divided into two lessons. For Lesson 1, you will learn about the beneficial interactions among living things in their environment. For Lesson 2, you will learn the harmful interactions among living things. So for today's lesson, we are going to discuss the beneficial interactions among living things in their environment. Before we start with our new lesson, let us have some mental exercises about your past lesson. Are you ready? In this activity, you are going to complete the concept map about the effects of environmental changes on the living things. Species evolve and change over time as a response to their environment. This leads to some species adapting and becoming better suited to their environment than other species. Natural selection is the process which is being conducted. The individuals who are better suited to their environment will survive and reproduce, while the individuals who are not as adapted to their environment have a minimum chance for survival and reproduction rate. All organisms obtain numerous adaptations that are suited to their environment. A niche is the rule of an organism in its habitat. It includes the type of food they eat, the way it obtains its food, and which other living things use the organism as food. It also includes when and how the organism reproduces and the physical conditions it requires to survive. There are some types of symbiotic relationships. Symbiosis is a close relationship between two species that benefits at least one of the species. These are the mutualism and commensalism. Now class, let us discuss mutualism as one of the type of symbiotic relationships. Mutualism is defined as an interaction between individuals of different species that results in positive or beneficial effects on per capita reproduction and or survival of the interacting populations. It is something in which both organisms benefit from. Mutualistic relationship is when two organisms of different species work together, each benefiting from the relationship. The best example is the human and the plant. The human utilize the oxygen that plants give off and exhale carbon dioxide. Plants use the carbon dioxide to create that oxygen that the humans need. Another type of symbiotic relationship is commensalism. Commensalism is when one species benefits from it while the other species is neither helped nor harmed. Commensalism, it is a relationship between individuals of two species in which one species obtains food or other benefits from the other without either harming or benefiting the latter. For example, a golden jackal or commensal following a tiger, the host, to feed on leftovers from its kills. Now, class, to fully understand the beneficial interactions among living things in their environment, such as the mutualistic relationship and commensalism relationship, you are going to perform activity 1.1. In this activity, you are going to describe the following pictures. For picture A, we have here the interaction between the butterflies and the flowers. Here are the guide questions. For letter A, what does butterfly do with the flower? Yes, the butterfly sucks the nectar of the flower. For letter B, what will happen to the pollen of flower that stick to the legs of the butterfly? Correct. When butterflies land on a flower to look for a nectar, some pollen will stick to the legs and parts of their body. This pollen is now transferred to the next few flowers that the butterfly lands on, and it will help to pollinate the plant species. For letter C, question, what is the importance of the butterfly to the flower? Do you have any idea? Well, butterflies are attracted to bright flowers and need to feed on nectar. Their bodies collect pollen and carry it to other plants. This will help fruits, vegetables, and flowers to produce new seeds. For letter D, do they benefit from each other? Yes. Butterflies like to eat sweet juice or nectar on flowers, while flowers, as reproductive organ in plants, can help because beautiful insects help spread pollen. Now, class, let's move on to picture B. So, in picture B, you are going to describe the interaction between the plants and the group of fish inside the aquarium. For the guide questions, letter A, what do plants provide to the fishes in the aquarium? Plants provide oxygen to the fish inside the aquarium. It also provides shelter and security for the fish. What do the fishes give to the plants in the aquarium? Well, fish release carbon dioxide to the plant. For letter C question, how do they relate with one another? Are they both benefited? Why? They relate from each other because they are both benefited. Plants provide oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide and ammonia that the fish generate. They compete with algae for nutrients. They can help to reduce the algae growth. For letter D question, can you describe the kind of interaction between the plants and fishes in an aquarium? The fishes and the plants in the aquarium benefit from each other. The kind of interaction between the plants and fishes in an aquarium is what we call mutualistic relationship. In picture C, you will describe the interaction between the orchids and a tree. Here are the guide questions. For letter A, what help does a tree give to orchids? The roots of the orchids stay on the bark of the tree, wherein they can get more sunlight and more easily visited by the moths which pollinate them. For letter B, how about the importance of the orchids to a tree? Is the tree benefited by the orchids? Orchids receive nutrients from the air and compost on the trees. The trees also benefited by receiving nutrients and cold air from the orchids. Trees are unaffected with the attachment of the orchids. For letter C, question, is the tree affected by the presence of the orchids? No, they do not harm the plants on which they grow by drawing nutrients for them. For letter D question, how can you describe their relationship? When one species benefits while the other one is not harmed nor affected, the interaction or the relationship is called commensalism relationship. Let's move on to picture D. In picture D, you will describe the interaction between the bird and a branch of a tree. Here are the guide questions. For letter A, how does the tree help the bird? Trees meet birds' basic needs like food and shelter for survival. For letter B, does the bird also help the tree? Native birds protect trees during rainy season by reducing the numbers of leaf-eating insects that birds help crops and low-lying plants in temperate forests by devouring insects had been known. For letter C question, is a tree harmed because of the presence of a bird's nest in its branch? The tree is not harmed by the presence of the nest among its branches. If the bird had to nest in the open, its egg and youngs would be vulnerable to predators. For letter D question, how do you describe this kind of relationship? When one species benefits while the other one is not harmed nor affected, the interaction or the relationship is called commensalism relationship. Class, remember the following. There are interactions where both species benefit from the relationship. And there are also interactions where one species benefits but the other is neither affected nor harmed. These interactions are beneficial or important for survival. Mutualism is the type of interaction where both species benefit from the relationship. Commensalism is the type of interaction where one organism benefits while the other is not harmed nor affected. Now class, I want you to get your science notebook and ballpen and perform this activity, which is checking your understanding. You are going to answer the following questions. For question number 1, what are the types of interactions among living things? Number 2, what is the difference between mutualism and commensalism? Number 3, why are the different types of relationships important? And for the last question, what are the benefits of mutualistic relationship